Hello everyone, welcome back to Pro Tour Dark Ascension 2012. Rich Hagan standing alongside one of the world's leading limited experts, Mr. Ben Stark of the United States, the Floridian. Here we are now on the table. We have some cards, it's fair to say. We have the complete Dark Ascension. And what we've got them sorted out by color and by commonality as well. So we've got the commons up here, move down to the uncommons, the rares, and then you've got your mythics down the bottom. So what we're going to do, Ben, obviously all drafts start with Dark Ascension now. Dark Ascension in the Strad. So we're going to talk through some of the key archetypes, the kind of cards you're going to be looking for. So Ben, where do you want to start in these 100 and many cards? Where are we going to look?
Well, we might as well start at the top.
Okay.
I consider the best archetype now to be blue-white. An aggressive deck based around flyers, some bounce spells and things of that nature.
So that brings us over to this side of the table. And obviously, just by the nature of rares and mythics, we're going to concentrate on the uncommons and the commons. So what kind of cards are we looking at that we're going to be excited by?
Well, the commons that you're most interested in from blue are the Stormbound Geist and the Nephalia Sea Kite.
So that's our 2/3 flash flyer for 4, and then 2/2 Undying comes back as a 3/3.
Yeah, because like I said, the deck is mostly based around flying creatures, and you know, obviously if it's an aggressive non-flying creature, but the main plan is just to have flyers and then a little something to hold the ground, and you know, tap some things, bounce some things. I mean, same strategy it was 10 years ago, really.
Okay, so there's a couple of nice blue common flyers. What else have we got in terms of white then?
Well, the stuff that goes well with it from the white commons that you're looking for is the Nimbus of the Mist, another perfect aggressive flyer. 2/1 tap a blocker, so if they did have an annoying Chapelgeist or a spider that was tough for you to get through, you'd be able to tap it, get in for 4 or 6, let's say, and then have an additional flyer for when you're trying to alpha strike.
Okay.
The Burden of Guilt is obviously like the best of these 4 and the best common for this archetype that you're looking to open.
So that's your kind of pacifism effect.
Sure, and it's so cheap, you know, 1 mana, 1 to use. It might as well be Terminate. I mean, you don't need the mana. The only problem is that the creature stays in play. So you know, if it was a utility creature or something, they may still get some use out of it.
All right, but in terms of the nuts and bolts of attacking for 2, we get something
tapping their big ground creature or their 1 flying creature, whatever can block you. It kills it completely. It can't, you know, tap it on their turn. It can't attack or block.
Okay.
A lot of other of these are fine too.
Sure. Once we get to the uncommons, we're not going to see them as often by definition. So what do you like in terms of the uncommon row in blue-white?
The Tower Geist is very good.
So that's the 2/2 flyer.
Yeah, a 2/2 flyer for 4 is already playable, but not exciting at all. Like Abbey Griffin sees use.
Sure.
But this one just replaces himself when you play him. And when you look at 2 cards in Limited and put 1 on the bottom, that's almost perfect, because more often than not, you don't need more land if you already have 4. So you're just going to get rid of a land and get another spell.
Okay.
Can't ask for more than that.
So we'll add Tower Geist to our nice blue-white collection.
Nimbus of the Breath is also very good, very first pickable. I mean, it's just a flying tapper. A tapper is great for this archetype. You know, like I keep iterating, you mostly have to get through Chapelgeist and spiders and things of that nature. Tap their 1 guy that's beating you, or if they don't have a guy that's a problem, you hit them for 2. It's like a perfect card for this deck. You know, it's not a bomb, but you know, you're happy to first pick it.
Yep. Now, tell me a little bit about Soul Seizor, because it's a double face card. It's a card that if you're playing in real life drafts, everyone's going to see. You're going to hold it up around the table. Everyone knows it's there. Is that a card that if you get past, you see it as a signal? Is it a card that you're happy taking first to make it a signal? What's your take on that card?
Well, it's actually very interesting that you bring that up, because Soul Seizor has a card like in play I feel is a bit overrated. It's actually not that great. If you're getting in with your 5-drop flyer, the damage from an average 5-drop flyer should be killing them.
Yeah, and this is just 1.
Yeah, so like it's very easy for them to just have a blocker and block it, and if they have no blockers to stop your 5-drop, I mean, you should be able to win. If it was like a 5-mana 3/3 flyer, I would prefer that to the 5-mana 1/3 mind control ability.
Okay.
That said, signaling is very important in Pack 1.
Okay.
I mean, if you can, you know, if you're in serious drafts, people do not mess around. If they know you're a blue player, people on both sides of you are going to try their best to stay out of blue. I mean, frankly, if you share colors with your neighbor, you both end up with bad decks, and everyone wants to win, so nobody wants to end up with a bad deck. So, I mean, if it were Pack 3, which it couldn't be, I would not be inclined to take this over very many of the commons we just talked about.
Yep.
Pick 1, Pack 1. It's tough to rate. It's more of, you know, do you think the people are paying attention and will stay out of blue if you take it? I like the card. I'll always have it in my main deck if I'm blue, but I don't think it's very powerful. I think it's a good early pick, mostly only as a signal of what color you're playing.
Okay, one more quick question. Let me just ask about Lingering Souls, because it's a card that on the face of it works fine in blue-white. Is blue-white an archetype where you're very happy to splash a couple of swamps here and there for maybe a tragic slip and the flashback on a Lingering Souls, or is this something you steer clear of?
Well, while I will flash a swamp or a grotto or an out or whatever for a Lingering Souls because it's such a powerful card, I'm not happy to splash in blue-white. It's a very aggressive deck based around 2-drops and 3-drops. You know, your 2-drop might be a Loyal Cathar that's white-white, a very powerful 2-drop. Your 3-drop might be this Stormbound Geist that's blue-blue.
Or a Chapel Geist.
Or a Chapel Geist that's white-white. Yeah, so I'm not looking to splash in my white-blue aggro deck at all. Like, if I have one random Brimstone Volley, I would never splash into a blue-white creature deck. However, if your draft starts with a Lingering Souls because it's such a powerful card, I'm going to really look for free sources or easy ways to splash it. Like, if I can pick up a Traveler's Amulet, an Isolated Chapel, or even a Grotto, which I'm not a big fan of the Grotto, but...
Evolving Wilds?
Evolving Wilds, that's a perfect one. Yeah, then if I can get any of that, I will splash it. If I don't get any of that, I'm not going to play 2 swamps in my blue-white deck just for a Lingering Souls. Okay,
let's move to a different archetype, because we could talk all day about blue-white, but let's move across the color spectrum. Let's have a little look at red-black. Where does red-black begin in terms of commons?
It's perfect that you go there next, because I think that's the second best archetype now in Dark Ascension and Innistrad.
Right.
Black-red is also pretty straightforward. You're trying to draft removal to clear the way for little guys, because traditionally black-red has weaker creatures than some of the other colors like green and white, but it has better removal and lots of removal. And the removal in Dark Ascension is very powerful.
Okay.
When you talk about Fires of Undeath and Tragic Slip, you're talking about 2 just high-quality first-pick limited removal
Premier
spells.
removal.
Premier. I mean, they could have out any bomber in the set, and if you're playing a little aggro deck, you're going to be able to attack and have one of your guys die at least, and then Tragic Slip away their bomber. I mean, this kills anything. And this card, killing Fires of Undeath, killing 2 things, I mean, that's just very good and limited. I mean, when you kill a 3-drop and later on in the game you can attack, and then when they block with their big guy, you can finish it off with the fires. Or you kill a second little guy, you kill a tapper, and their 3-drop. I mean, it's just very powerful.
Okay.
So these 2 are the 2 best ones that you're looking for black-red. Not too far behind should be Death's Caress. This is a format where there's a lot of mid-sized bomb rares, and taking care of them is a big problem. Your Bloodline Keepers, your Olivias, Micaeus, all kinds of rares that cost 4, 5, 6 mana. And I mean, this just kills anything. And that's what you need. If you've got little creatures, you need to kill their bigger creature, whether it's a Grizzled Outcast or whether it's an Olivia. You're gonna want to get rid of it.
And it's unconditional. Target creature. So unless it's hexproof, it's gone.
So this comes next. Like, my pick order for black-red is basically like as you see it. This. Although a lot of times I take the Tragic Slip first over the Fires because I'm not black-red yet, because it's pick one, pack one.
Absolutely.
However, if I was black-red already, I would take the Fires of Undeath over the Tragic Slip.
Okay.
So, and then this is pretty much always, the Death's Caress is pretty much always going to be third behind the Tragic Slip and the Fires of Undeath.
Okay, what about something with power and toughness? what are we going to look at? Well, sooner or later, once the way's clear, you've got to win with something.
Yeah.
So what's the something?
As you can see, the creatures themselves aren't particularly impressive.
Yeah.
However, some of them do fit the black-red aggro strategy quite nicely.
Okay.
The best of which is probably this Highborn Ghoul. A 2/1 for 2 evasion out of an aggressive deck is very good. I mean, it gives you a situation where you don't necessarily have to use your removal to kill their blocker. You can use your removal when you want to.
Yes.
Because this guy's going to be able to attack anyway without using your removal.
Right.
In addition, the Russet Wolves is actually surprisingly good.
So it's the Hill Giant.
Right.
3/3 for 4, nothing else on it, just 3/3 for 4.
That's a card that a lot of people didn't recognize was going to be like even playable, let alone pretty good in black-red when we first started drafting the set. Because a lot of formats, Hill Giant isn't very playable or isn't very good. However, in this format, the removal is so powerful, and the decks are so they revolve so heavily around like the 3-drops and the 4-drops that this guy's basically the trump for that, because he tends to be a little bit bigger than the creatures that your opponent has out. Self-off Occultist or the 2/3 Death Touch Spider.
Yep.
That guy's really good also. Kessig Recluse.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, of course, these just trade, but that's an excellent trade for you because this is, the best green common and a card that you really are going to have to work through with your little deck, and just being able to kill him with the Russet Wolves is very powerful.
Okay. In terms of uncommons, is there anything that you're sort of opening up and you've taken something along the way and you're really hoping, wouldn't it be nice if there was a nice, powerful black-red uncommon floating around? What are we looking at
The uncommons
there?
I'm happiest to start with from black-red are this Farbog Boneflinger.
The Boneflinger, yep.
Yeah.
So 2/2 for 5, but it kills something.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like your guys are small, so a lot of times you need to just kill that 1/2/4 or 4/4 or 3/4 that they have out. So if that's the case, you get to attack and finish it off, and that's perfectly fine. That's good for you. And then of course, if they have out like a 1/2 Asilian Priest Tapper, or they have out like just of any of the variety of 2/2s, basically. Whether it's their own Highborn Ghoul or whether it's an Assylian Priest or basically any creature with 2 toughness. If you get to just off a creature and get a creature for 5 mana, that's always going to help you towards winning a game in Limited.
So we've got another half dozen cards in our red-black archetype here.
I also particularly like this card.
Markov Warlord. So this is the 4/4 for haste, costs 6, which sounds like a lot, even though it's haste. But it's the ability that's important, right? When it enters the battlefield, up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn. And functionally, in a red-black aggro, I guess that means your entire team.
Right. I mean, when you play this card, they're almost always going to be dead. I mean, if you haven't dealt them any damage with black-red, I mean, sometimes that happens when they have, a very good draw, but you're not winning that game with any card, basically.
Sure.
But if you've, played a normal game, maybe you've gotten them to 10, to 8, to 6, and then they've stabilized, because they've played some bigger things. Well, now you play this guy, how many big things do they have out? Because 2 of them aren't blocking, and he has haste. So when you play him and turn your team, I mean, if they're at 10 or less, they're almost definitely going to die.
Okay,
Very
so
powerful.
we'll add that to our collection as well. So we've had a little look at white-blue. We've had a look at black-red. I'm going to reset the red cards because the next archetype you want to talk about is red-green. So what's the deal with that? What are we looking at? You've already mentioned this powerhouse green common, Kessig Recluse, 2/3, reach, and death touch.
Yeah, the green cards themselves are a little weak in Dark Ascension.
Okay.
Which is okay and good because in Innistrad it was by far the best color for Limited.
Right.
The green cards in Innistrad are amazing. So now you've got this balance where you only have 1 pack with the kind of weak green cards and 2 packs with the very powerful green cards. So green is still a very appealing option. It's something that you want to draft.
Of the 5 colors, is green the weakest in terms of, well, essentially the commons?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
it is, and it is by a lot. But like I said, in Innistrad, it's the best of the 5 by a lot. So there is a nice balance there, and green is still very attractive.
Right.
Now, I only like to draft green with either red or white. I think with green blue or green black, you end up in a situation where you got a couple of with green blue, you have a couple of flyers, a couple of ground creatures. It doesn't mesh well. I mean, there's archetypes like spider spawning and stuff. That's a whole different ball game. But
Yep.
I'm just addressing creature decks right now.
Sure.
With green black, your mana ends up too awkward. I mean, some of the best black cards are double black: Highborn Ghoul, Death's Caress, Victim of the Night from Innistrad. The green cards tend to be 2 drops or double green, or it just doesn't mesh. Now, green-red is a really nice archetype. You base it around the werewolves, of course, because they're the 2 colors with the werewolves.
Yeah. So does that mean that we're really wanting to open up Immerwolf?
Oh yes.
As an uncommon.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
In our house when we were practicing for this format, Conley 3-0'd multiple drafts when he took this guy first, second, third pick and drafted a very nice aggressive green-red werewolf deck. You have some really potent commons for the deck that other people don't even want, so that you can get 6th pick, 8th pick. This card here, Wild Hunger, it's perfect for green-red werewolves because the werewolves tend to be a little big and very tough to actually get rid of.
Yep.
However, they're a little slow, so people want to chump block them and race you with their flyers and
Yes.
whatnot. So when you attack and they double block the werewolf or chump block the werewolf and you give it +3/+1 and trample, that's going to win the race almost every time.
And of course, should you need to, you can flash it back a couple of turns later.
And now you're just getting all kinds of value when you're flashing back something that did something good the first time. Out of the green commons for this archetype, I really like the Recluse. As we talked about, blue-white flyers is the #1 strategy. So you have to be able to stop the little aggressive flyers, and this guy really shuts them down. It's what they're trying to get through the whole time. So I really prioritize this guy, the Kessig Recluse. Additionally, Ovenwald Bear is very powerful. I mean, you're going to be attacking, things are going to be trading, and you're just going to get a 4/4 for 3. That's always going to be really good out of any creature deck. The rest of them aren't too powerful. Like I said, the green is a little weak. I'm always happy to play the Dawntrider Elk. I mean, I would never have one of these in my sideboard. A little weaker than the Recluse and the Bear. Obviously, you're going to play with all the werewolves. The Scorned Villager's nice, going right from 2 to 4, and then, when he turns over and transforms into a 2/2, this can be really good because, I mean, you can cast a 6-mana card on turn 4 now. So if you manage to, say, play him on 2 but don't have a drop, you pass. Now you play your 6-drop on turn 4.
Nice.
Or if they have to pass because they missed a drop, then you can really get far ahead using him. Obviously, like I said, the werewolves are what you're looking for. The Hinterland Hermit is particularly, a good early werewolf, a good 2-drop. It's going to synergize with your werewolf cards like Full Moon's Rise out of Innistrad and Moon Mist, as well as your Immerwolf, like we talked about, if you can open it.
Sure. I'm going to let you get really greedy now. We looked at blue-white, we looked at black-red, we looked at green-red. I'm going to let you take one pick for each of those archetypes from any rarity you like. You want a mythic rare, it's yours. So what are you going to pick? First of all, you want the perfect blue-white deck. You can pick one card. What's it going to be?
I wish I could do this in the Pro Tour.
We could arrange that for a small fee.
There's so many really powerful cards in the set that they make now, but I think if I was going to take any one first for blue-white,
Yep.
it would probably be Beguiler of Wills.
Okay.
It's not the best example because it doesn't necessarily promote the little aggressive blue-white flying strategy.
Okay, because it's a 5-mana 1/1 that doesn't fly.
But it's so good.
Okay.
I mean, when you play this card, they have to end the game within a couple of turns or you cannot lose.
Okay.
I mean, if they can't kill it.
I will give you Beguiler of Wills into your sort of blue-white shell. All right, what about black-red?
From black-red, I mean, you're probably looking at Micaeus. I want to take a quick glance through them all and make sure I'm not missing anything, but if you've ever seen Micaeus in play, you know it's not fun. He is so good. I mean, he just does it all.
Absolute classic. So the mythic rare we open up for black-red, we go in there. And then what about red-green to finish off? Now, is this going to be a straightforward Huntmaster of the Fells, or are you as straightforward as, I'd quite like an Immerwolf, thanks.
While I would quite like an Emerwolf, it's going to be Huntmaster of the Fells.
Okay. So once again, because it does so much, you get another pair, you turn them over,
we're playing this in our Type 2 deck, 4X, and we green suns for them a lot. I mean, it's just an extremely powerful card, a great first pick, great werewolf. I mean, you can pass the turn and get a 4/4 and kill a creature. You can play 2 guys and pass it back and get another 2/2 wolf. Just a great card.
Ben Stark, stop talking. Go play some Magic. It's been great to have you with us here. The whole of Dark Ascension draft laid out for you in the company of Florida's Mr. Ben Stark. Great to have you with us. I'm your host, Rich Hagan. For Ben Stark, saying bye.